China on Friday urged the rich nations negotiating in the UN-led climate talks in Copenhagen to help seal a deal by delivering on their promises to cut carbon emissions and provide financial support to help developing nations adapt to global warming. The call comes as ministers arrive for the higher segment of the talks that are tasked with achieving goals to avoid irreversible change in climate that scientists warn could be disastrous to the Earth. Developing nations are asking the rich nations to up their emissions reduction targets and financial pledges. The call for funding was partly answered earlier on Friday, with European Union leaders pledging $3.5 billion annually from 2010 to 2012 to help developing countries tackle global warming. China's exports fell 1.2% from a year earlier in November, the smallest decline this year, as recoveries in the US and other big markets helped revive demand. Imports into the world's third largest economy also rebounded strongly, rising 26.7% over the same month last year. The figures suggest the global recovery is gaining momentum as consumers in the US and other countries begin spending more after months of holding back. The meagre decline in November's exports compared with a 13.8% drop in October and even bigger declines in the previous months. And China's Consumer Price Index, a major measure estimating inflation, rose by 0.6% in November, the first year-on-year rise in consumer prices in 10 months, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Though the Bureau said the country was not facing inflationary pressure, analysts feared the continually rising consumer prices could make controlling inflation a challenging task next year, when the CPI could cross 3%. Bureau spokesman Shen Liayun said rising food prices and the energy price reform have contributed to the CPI rise. Police in China have detained 2 gold miners accused of causing serious damage to one of the oldest sections of the Great Wall. The Hohhot Kukao mining company is suspected of destroying around 330 feet of the wall while prospecting for gold in Inner Mongolia to the northwest of Beijing. 2 of the company's project managers were detained earlier this week. They could face up to 10 years in prison depending on the degree of damage. The damaged section of the wall dates from the Qin dynasty. A high-speed train between the city of Wuhan in central China and Guangzhou City in the south has successfully completed its first trial run. It took the bullet train just 3 hours to cover the 670-mile route. Up till now, conventional trains have taken 10.5 hours to cover the same distance. An official with the Wuhan Railway Bureau put the total cost of the new line at around $17 billion. Trial operations of the railway are scheduled to start on December 20th. China plans to build 42 high-speed passenger rail lines with a total length of over 8,000 miles over the next 3 years. Taiwan's parliament changed laws on Friday to ban gratuitous images of sex and violence in the island's racy media, following a surge in parental complaints. Passage of a bill that outlaws explicit photos, television scenes and online graphics comes after officials issued 2 fines totaling more than $300,000 against the publisher of mainstream newspaper Apple Daily over its online imagery. Parental complaints to the Taiwan government had soared before the city of Taipei fined the newspaper's publisher. The paper had built a name on its real-life animation of grisly crimes and even a make-believe video of golf star Tiger Woods crashing a vehicle. And finally, former world record holder and Olympic gold medalist Liu Xiang easily won the 110-metre hurdles at the East Asian Games in Hong Kong on Friday as he continues his return from a long injury layoff. The biggest name at the Games and one of China's most celebrated sportsmen, Liu eased home in a relatively slow time of 13.66 seconds in front of an expectant sellout crowd. The winning time was far off Liu's personal best and former world record time of 12.88 and slower than the 13.15 he ran in September when he finished second to US rival Terence Trammell in his first race after surgery. Ji Wei, also of China, took a distant silver and South Korea's Pak Tae-yong was third. The world record is 12.87 seconds set by Cuban Dayron Robles in June last year. And that's the BON News headlines for now, but we'll be back with more news after this.